Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to be sitting down filming today's video. As you can tell from the title, we're going to be reviewing this brush set from BH. This is the Marble Luxe 10-piece brush set. I picked mine up from Glamraider and it retailed for $58 Australian. So we're basically going to see, is this worth it? In this set you do get 10 brushes. It does come with an explanation of what each brush is used for. They are cruelty free and from BH. I've seen a lot of people talk about this brush set. It does look very luxe and expensive, and it is quite affordable for $58 for all of these brushes. Obviously, if you are used to purchasing your brushes from Morphe or eBay, this might be a little bit expensive, but here in Australia, this is a really good deal for $58. And yeah, I'm going to go through each brush. I'm going to try and use just these brushes for my entire face today. They don't have a brow brush, so we'll have to do our brows off camera. But yeah, we're going to go through each brush. I'm very excited to use these. I have opened them and washed them, but I have not tested them out yet. They look absolutely amazing, and we're just going to get straight on into it and see, is this brush set from BH worth the price tag? So the first brush I'm taking is the number 3 brush, and this is the Dulux Buffer brush. So here I'm taking the Makeup Revolution Fast Base Stick Foundation in F1. This is more of a thicker formula, and as this Dulux Buffer brush is quite dense, I thought it would be the perfect product to use. As you can see, the buffer brush just really smooths that out over the skin, and it looks quite flawless. Similar results that you would get with a beauty blender, but using a brush. I actually was pleasantly surprised. I don't use brushes very often for my foundation, so I really liked the amount of coverage that this gave me. So here I'm using the number 6 brush, which is the multitasking face brush. This is slightly tapered, but more of a dense brush, so it is absolutely perfect for a concealer. Again, I usually use a beauty blender for blending out all of my base products, so I was really pleasantly surprised at how effortlessly this blended it out and how flawless it looked with a brush. So I'm just using a normal liquid concealer and blending it out with this. Since filming this video, I have used this brush to blend out my concealer quite a few times, and I honestly love the effect that it gives. I would definitely recommend testing out this brush specifically in this set. So here I'm taking the number 2 brush. This is the tapered powder brush. This reminds me a lot of the Real Techniques blush brush, say that 20 times, and I'm just trying to use this with loose powder. It didn't work as effectively as I would have hoped with loose powder, but that's on my part and not the brush's fault. These types of brushes are more so suited to a pressed powder formula where you can really fluff it around the skin, underneath the eyes, and especially with the taperedness of this brush, it fits nicely underneath there, and it's perfect for setting like certain parts of your face instead of a fluffy brush that would set your entire face, if that makes sense. So now I'm taking the Jumbo Face Brush, which is number 1. This brush is huge. It is so fluffy and so densely packed. There is like a gazillion bristles in here, and it is just absolutely amazing for pressed powder. Since then, I love using it just as an all-over face brush to just mend all of my blush and highlight and contour together at the end and during the process of makeup application. It is a huge brush. I absolutely love it, and it is just such high quality. So this is brush number 4, and this is the domed detailer brush. As you can see, I'm trying to use it to contour, and this brush I wasn't very convinced about with using it to contour. I usually use a angled fluffy brush or even a giant fan brush sometimes, and this was just too dense of a brush for me to contour with. It left a really harsh line. The brush itself is really good quality. It's super soft, densely packed. You could use it for precision setting, or even, you know, after you've applied the contour and blended it out, going over it again, just to blend it out even further. I'm not too sure how to use this brush. This video was pre-filmed. I'm doing the voiceover a couple weeks later, and I still haven't picked up this brush. I think it's the one brush from the collection that I won't really get the use out of. I did try to use it for blush as well, as you're seeing now, and it was just an epic fail. Again, it was too dense. I had to try and blend it out. I looked a little bit clown-esque, and yeah, this is the one brush in the collection that was a little bit of a dud for me, and that's okay, because, you know, out of X amount of brushes to not use one, you know, that's a pretty good value. So I'm now taking the Duo Fiber highlighting brush, which is the number 5 brush. This brush feels amazing. You can definitely feel the Duo Fibers. It feels a little bit like a stipple brush, but a little bit more dense. This applies highlight extremely nicely. I was really excited to use this brush. It applies it very much like a strip of highlight, a very much strobing effect. The highlight I'm using in this clip is very intense as well, but it does apply highlight quite heavy-handedly. So if you don't like a blinding highlight, I wouldn't recommend this brush. But if you have been looking for a stipple brush, this set I think was only $58 or 55 Australian dollars, and the quality of the brushes that you get in here are really, really good. So if you are looking for an affordable stipple brush option, then this is definitely one to check out. Alright, moving on to the eyes, I'm taking the number 8 brush, which is the classic eye blending brush. This is exactly like it says. It's basically just a standard eyeshadow brush. It's not really that fluffy. It's a little bit more fluffy than a flat brush, so it's exactly what it says, a classic eye brush. And I'm just taking the Too Faced Chocolate Gold palette and setting my lids with a cream color. I really, really like this brush for doing that. So I am just taking number 9, which is the tapered blending brush, and I'm just taking a sort of mid-tone transition brown shade and blending it out with this. This is just a nice tapered blending brush. It's really good quality, and I think, you know, for a set to contain tapered fluffy blending brushes nowadays is really just a staple, and I think BH has done a really good job at perfecting this one. So here I'm taking the number 7 brush, which is the diffusing eye brush. This is a huge fluffy blending brush, even bigger than the number 9 brush, and I'm just jumping back and forth in different brown tone shades in the Too Faced Chocolate Gold palette to build up a really nice sort of smoky crease color in order to put a shimmer shade on the eyes later. So that's basically all I'm doing. I really, really like this number 7 brush. It is really, really fluffy, and it is perfectly shaped for my hooded eyes. And yeah, I think it would really just work for anyone, to be honest. So another lovely brush in this lovely set. So finally, I'm taking the number 10 shading brush. This is a really nice short flat shader brush, and it is absolutely perfect for shimmery shadows. I'm taking a shimmery shadow from the Too Faced Chocolate Gold palette. I'm applying it dry onto my lid without any setting spray. This, for starters, is to show how good the formula of the Too Faced palette is, but also to really show how well this brush applies the shade to my eye and doesn't get stuck on the brush. Alright, so this is the finished look. I threw on some mascara, liner, and obviously a lipstick. Before anyone asks me, the lip color that I have on is the L'Oreal Lip Paint Matte in the shade 204 Red Actually. This is a really nice red. I love doing a smoky gold eye with red lips. I think it looks flattering on anyone. So moving on to what I thought of the brushes, I was actually really pleasantly surprised at how much use I got out of these brushes today and how much like I didn't feel like I was missing out. The only thing I struggled with and the only brush that I'm not sure what I would use it for is this number 4. Now number 4 says it's a domed detailer brush. You would have seen in the video that I did try to use this for blush. It's too dense for blush, and I did have to go back and dip into my trusty e.l.f. stipple brush, which is my favorite blush brush ever. So this one, I'm not sure. It's a little bit too dense for underneath the eyes. I did use it for contour, but again, it's too dense for that. So maybe for packing powder on, I will have to sort of investigate what use I can use this brush for. But everything else, I'm very pleasantly surprised at how I used it and how I didn't feel like I was missing out. You know, everyone has their favorite brushes and like you feel like, oh my god, I can't do my makeup without that brush. My contour is a little bit muddy, but everything else I think is really good. I started off with number 3 as my foundation brush. I was worried that I wouldn't get use out of this brush, but again, it pleasantly surprised me as a foundation brush. It's extremely dense, but sort of bendable and movable enough to blend out your foundation. I used number 6, which is recommended as a multitasking face brush. I used this for my concealer. Again, it's a little bit more fluffy than a normal concealer brush, but I liked that because brushes that get marketed as concealer brushes, for example, this little brush from Real Techniques is really dense, so you have to pat it, whereas this you can sort of fluff it into the skin. So I did really enjoy that. I used number 2, which is the tapered powder brush for setting my face, and I did try and use it for blush, but it didn't work. This is very similar to a Real Techniques brush that looks like this. This is a fake version of the Real Techniques brush that I ordered off AliExpress quite some time ago, but they do look really similar. This is so soft. As you can see, there's powder in it, but it is amazing for setting the face. I definitely love this brush. I then used the big boy, number 1, to sort of buff everything into my skin. I really like having a really large fluffy brush. The one I use at the moment is from AliExpress. The biggest reason that I have picked up these brushes is because I want to declutter my brushes that aren't cruelty free. I've just dropped it, but you've seen it anyway. I love using a fluffy brush just to sort of buff everything together. It's really nice to apply powder, to wipe away, tone down your highlighter, just buff everything together in the skin. This is incredibly fluffy, incredibly, like, look how many bristles there are in that. These are really good quality brushes. I then used the number 5 brush, which is a stipple highlighter brush, and oh my god, this is my new highlighter brush. Honestly, it's absolutely amazing. The eye brushes I loved as well. I did have to dip into a small brush to highlight my inner corner, but everything else I didn't have a problem with. The fluffy brushes are amazing, and this brush is really good at packing color on the lid, and I just really enjoyed it. So do I think this brush set is worth it? 100% yes. Like I said, the only brush that I had trouble with is number 4. I'm not sure what I'll use this brush for, but out of a 10-piece brush set, to only have one brush that you're on the fence about is a pretty good deal. I have bought brush sets and only used one brush from the entire set, so yeah, I definitely recommend these. They look a lot like Morphe brushes. They look expensive. They're not that heavy, like they're not weighted, which is the one sort of giveaway when you purchase a brush. If it's not heavy, then you sort of know that it's on the more cheap side. But they look luxe. The marbling is beautiful. I need a nice pretty cup to sit these in now. They're obviously dirty and I have to go wash them. But yeah, I really like these brushes, and I actually really love how this look turned out. I wasn't really planning on filming anything after this, but I might have to because this makeup is just too pretty to waste. Yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you do like this sort of voiceover bit where I only talk in the outro and intro, then do let me know. I find that the videos are shorter and I don't babble on as much because I'm just really focused on what I'm doing and what I have to say to get my point across. If you guys want to see more brush reviews, I know that brushes aren't like an exciting thing of makeup, but obviously the tools that you use to do your makeup are important, and I am going to I don't know if I want to say this on here, but I am going to transition into cruelty-free makeup products, at least I hope so. Everything that I have now I'm going to keep. I'm just not going to purchase any more makeup that's not cruelty-free, and obviously any brushes that I have that aren't cruelty-free, I am going to get rid of them and replace them with cruelty-free brushes. So if you want to see my journey into being a cruelty-free makeup person, then do let me know as well. And if you want to see more brush videos, then let me know as well, because I can do that too. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one.